Hi, welcome to Diana's Diary Room for Saturday, July 15th. We're going to start at midnight and we're going to go till Sunday morning, 3 a.m.-ish, so that's Saturday night, Sunday morning. Okay, lots happening in this house. Last time I talked to you, the house had decided that Kara was going home, but Janelle kept saying to Brittany, I don't think this is a smart move. You know, we can't leave these strong guys in the house. When it gets down to the end, we can't beat the strong guys. They're going to align. My worst nightmare is Frank, Willie, and Shane aligning together. Brittany was buying none of this. So, here we start out, midnight, Friday night, Saturday morning, and Joe and Janelle are upstairs playing chess. They start talking game, and Joe makes it clear that he does not think that keeping Frank in the game in any way benefits him or any of their team members. So there's a long conversation here. We don't see the whole thing. It cuts away from them a couple of times. But by the end, you can see that the two of them are solidly against keeping Frank in the game. Next thing that happens is that Joe goes downstairs and he goes to go to bed, where Frank and Jen are also lying in bed. A conversation ensues there. Now Joe, whom I think is the best newbie player in this game so far, feeds Frank and Jen information, and Frank and Jen reciprocate, but they don't know that they're falling into a trap. Joe has figured out that Willie has a side deal with Frank. He knows it, but he just doesn't have proof. So what he does is he goes and he has this conversation with them, where in this conversation, you know, Frank is quite calm for somebody who is on the block. He's just way too calm, and you don't feel that safe unless you have a deal with the HOH. Joe is picking up on this stuff. He doesn't have the proof, but he knows in his gut what's happening. So he feeds them information. It's a long conversation. The flashback time is there. Go back and watch it, because what happens the next day is very pivotal. Meanwhile, Janelle is upstairs playing chess with Dan. It's very interesting the way they start this conversation, because they're using chess analogies to talk about the game, how pawns are important and things. But then they start talking.
That would never work for me, because I completely understand it's got to go hard against Kara, but why would you make it? Why would you make me your move? Because that's gonna, you just burn a bridge and you can never cross, you know?
Right.
Because I'm sure, like, I mean, if you say, for example, if one of yours was up and one of mine was up, I understand you're going to do whatever you kind of keep yours. You know, that's not like I would be mad at you for that.
Right.
There's a long conversation there, and we don't see 90% of it. But when Dan comes back downstairs and talks to Kara, he says to Kara, I'm 75% sure you're staying this week. Now the next day they get up, it's all happy, you know, POV ceremony, eat breakfast, blah, blah, blah. This is where Joe makes his move. Joe goes to Will in the storage room and has a conversation, and he says, this is what Frank said to me last night. Now Joe takes part of what Frank says and embellishes it and changes it, but he's taking the right points, because what he took things that Frank said to Willie, and then he added to it and he subtracted things. He made up a good portion of it, but it's believable, and it also has the it's true. That's the part about Frank's lie. It's a true lie. He makes up what Frank says, but the facts are it's all true. So he tells Will about it, and then he goes upstairs and he tells Janelle about it. And just as they're about to go tell Willie, we get trivia, because the POV ceremony is going to start. So we're left in the dark. They come back from trivia after the POV ceremony, and it's Brittany and Willie upstairs talking, and he's like, I just can't believe he's doing this to me. And at one point Brittany says, I tried to tell you, but you won't listen to me. Brittany's an idiot.
Push come to shove, that means you're an option. So say he puts up Joe, or I guess he's not going to put up Joe. I guess let's say he puts up Will, and
he's going to put up Will. That's who he would put up. He definitely would put up Will. I would think so.
So say he puts up Will and, I don't know, Shane. Okay? Will comes off because Boogie wins the power. Who do you think he's gonna go? Who's gonna go up? You.
Yeah.
He might not have any intention of putting you up, but if all the cards don't fall in the right place, he will. Especially if he knows that you can't do anything about it. If it comes down to a situation with veto.
But do you think we could convince her to say me and not put me up next week? And you think she'd be legit about it? Because that's all he's pretty much offering.
The entire team comes up, Shane and JoJo, and it's get Frank out, get Frank out. Then Janelle's team comes up and it's get Frank out. Everybody's on board. Frank has just screwed the team, and now it's 100% we're getting Frank out. Some people were saying, oh, Joe's lie is going to be found out. It's not going to be found out because Joe lied, but he told the truth. This is kind of hard to explain. Willie knows it's the truth. Willie knows that everything Joe said is true, so Willie thinks it's the truth because he doesn't know that Joe just made it up. All right. So days going on, it's all very casual, lots of conversation, but Janelle has been very social today, not stuck to Brittany's hip. It's not been the bitchy girl club anymore. Janelle's gone and talked to Danielle and Kara about showmances, and she's talked to Shane and JoJo about what Frank did and what Willie, which way the team's going to go. And she's been in all these conversations. She's been connecting with everybody in the house the entire day. And I even tweeted, wow, Janelle's been working today. So I'm watching the Big Brother show, but I've got the feeds on, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks out on the feeds. Willie decides to throw a temper tantrum. He pulls Brittany upstairs, and he can say anything to Brittany, and Brittany falls for it. She is just so gullible. This guy's got her totally wrapped around his finger. And so he says, don't you feel like things are wrong? Something's wrong. Janelle's doing stuff. Now, Willie has been trying for a couple of days to plant the seed with Brittany that Janelle is working against them. He even at one point, like a day and a half ago, said, maybe we should work with Boogie, which Brittany was like, no. And he said it again during this conversation. She said, I don't want you working with Boogie. So he is trying so desperately to pit Brittany and Janelle against each other because Janelle's the critical thinker. She sees through Willie's crap. Brittany, gullible and buys everything. He knows he can manipulate Brittany. So he gets Brittany all worked up that Janelle is working side deals and made a deal with Kara and da-da-da-da. Brittany marches downstairs, breaks in on a conversation that she's having with Shane and JoJo. They're upset that Brittany is talking to their team. They're talking about the HOH competition. They're not doing anything wrong. Brittany breaks in, what are you talking about? And then she hauls everybody upstairs. March, 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 march. And they start talking, and Willie is like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Da, 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 da. He's going off. He's having a temper tantrum, and everybody's like, what is your deal? Relax. Nothing's wrong. So then he gets up and says, I can't have this conversation again. And he marches outside and throws a temper tantrum. Now, the whole thing here is Willie's claiming that somebody on his team is making side deals with other members. Well, it's Willie. Willie's the one doing everything he's having a fit about. Okay, so the team is like, what is your problem? He comes back, he goes, something's not right, you're all, and the whole time he wants to say Janelle, but he doesn't. He actually believes Joe's story about Frank the night before, but he wants to say Janelle is doing things. Janelle's not doing anything. She's talking about team unity the whole time. But he doesn't have the courage to say Janelle. So they all say, okay, look, let's not talk to anybody without another person there. We just won't talk to the other side. Joe says, I'm of the mind that if you are talking to other people, you're not with us. Da-da-da. So Willie is so desperate at this point to save Frank, he is trying to cast division among his own team. So they put that all to rest for about an hour, and Frank is leaving again. So then Willie goes and he's talking, and he just won't let it drop. And then the whole time he's saying, well, we can't just keep talking about this. And then he brings it up again. And then he brings it up again. All right, so next thing that happens is there is a very social night in the house. Janelle and Ashley go into the have-not room after Ashley's date with Ian, and they talk about how Willie went off. Now, Ashley seems very convincing when she's talking to Janelle. They're exchanging information back and forth, and they both think that Willie's behaving oddly, and that nobody's allowed to talk to anybody, and I'm 100% convinced that Ashley's on Janelle's side. Until 2:20 in the morning, when Ashley walks upstairs to Willie's room, gets in bed with him, and says, something's not right with this Kara deal. They go into the HOH bathroom and they whisper for a while. It's very hard to hear, but she's concerned about Willie. She doesn't think Janelle's on her side. She doesn't think Willie should be friends with Kara. They go downstairs outside, where basically Willie tries to sell Ashley on being the fifth vote to get out Kara, go against her team, and vote for him. She seems to be all on board. I'm confused at this point. Let's just face it. Willie is playing Russell's game. He is going to girls, Danielle and Ashley and JoJo, and doing these side deals just like Russell did. It is Russell's game. Janelle has a big Survivor fan. She knows Russell's game. She sees it for what it is, and he is desperate. He's acting like he's on the block. This guy's acting like he is going out this week, and his desperation is either genius and he's going to swing the whole house against Janelle and her team, or he's going to get found out. He keeps saying to people, look, you don't need your coaches. Wrong. You do need your coaches, because if you piss off your coach, guess what they can do to you? They can put you on slop every single week. They cannot save you every single week. If Ashley goes against Janelle's team and is the fifth vote to vote out Kara, Janelle can go, you're not with us, you're against us, you're on slop every week. That would suck. Okay, so here's my analogy of Willie's game. There was something about it that was striking me, and then it came to me. It reminds me of Danielle trying to switch up the sides way too early in the game last year. She was working against her own alliance, trying to bring in Dominic, and it all blew up in her face. And I am thinking that this is what's going to happen to Willie. He is going way, way, way too fast. This is week 1. He acts like he's on the block. He's so desperate to get his alliance that he wants to go through that he's willing to go to Ashley, a member of Janelle's team, and try to get her to work against her own coach. Logically, that's not a smart thing for anybody to do. So Willie's game, it just hit me, this seems like what Danielle did last week. It's a mistake to play this hard, this fast in the game. It is week 1. They're acting like it's week 5. They're acting like, it's make the jury or don't make the jury. To me, if I'm Willie, okay, I wanted this alliance with Frank, but I got a 6-member alliance over here. I'm good for a while. He's not the biggest target, although his ego wants to tell him he is. It's Frank's not on my team. I would let this one go. Let him go out the door and work another plan. But no, Willie's ego is so big, and he thinks he's going to win every single HOH competition and every POV. In the history of Big Brother, the best competitors couldn't do it. And all of a sudden, Willie Hantz is going to do it. All right, whatever. Okay, big kudos to Joe, in my opinion. He's got Willie nailed. People have underestimated him. He gives horrible DR. Horrible DR. But he's spot on in his analogies. Tonight he was walking with Janelle, and he said, the kind of people who accuse other people of having side alliances and double dealings? Those are the people who are doing it. He knows exactly what Willie's up to. So does Janelle. And hopefully the two of them will be able to keep their team together. I don't want to see Willie succeed at this. I really don't, because he's screwing up the game. Anybody who plays this fast, this hard, should fall on their face, because they clearly don't know the game, even though he thinks he does. All right, my Liar Liar Pants on Fire award goes to Willie. Even though Joe came up with a good one, Willie's just nothing but lies. And that's about it for today's Diana's Diary Room. Talk to you later. Bye.